If you're thinking about homeownership or a new homeowner, you may not know it, but there are a lot of projects that are going to be done around the house. So today we're talking about the essential tools you need to invest in to help you get things done around the house. Plus, if you don't know, it is very expensive to hire contractors these days. So, doing a lot of work yourself or using different search platforms to figure out how you can do it on yourself is a huge help to yourself. Now, one thing that I want to ask you guys is please drop comments down below as we're talking about all these different aspects of the purchase process, not the purchase process. We always do that, but just around the tools that you need. What do you guys recommend? And just to kind of give you a side note, is that this list is not all encompassing because every time your project comes up, you need more tools. At least that's what it seems like. And everything that we talk about today is our personal preference. We're not sponsored by any of the brands we're talking about. This is just really for education. So Lourdes, and the reason why I'm here is because one, I purchased a home not too long ago, and that's how Lourdes and I were talking. I'm like, man, I can't believe how much money I've spent on tools. And this is part of your budgeting because you have to factor this stuff in because
Yeah.
things break, and if depending on where you live in the country, it snows. So Lourdes.
Yeah. So thank you, David. My name is Loris Fernando, and I am an instructor here with VA Housing Education. And I am a proud owner of a multi-unit. So I have 4 units that I have to, yeah, I've learned how to use all kinds of tools. Being a woman, I know that's kind of strange, but I have a ton and definitely would like to share some of the things that make my life a lot easier and that are very easy to use. So I'm going to teach you how to use those because I know it took me a little while to figure out myself.
I know. Thank you to YouTube for helping being able to figure out how some things work because
That
I
I
also inherited a lot of tools from the previous owner. And I'm like, I don't even know how to start some of this stuff. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we get started off, we did have a question from Twisted. It was asking tips on home ownership. Don't mind if I be the first one. So, thank you for that. What are requirements for buying a house? Does a fixer upper qualify, or does it have to be an operational order? So that's a great question, and thanks again for watching. So one of the aspects of that, right? There's a lot that goes into tips on home ownership. That's why we have the channel, and we do a lot of live events and pre-recorded videos for you guys to be able to check that out. But this is a good question because a lot of veterans are like, does the home need to be in perfect condition? And a lot of veterans also get steered away from properties because of this. Now, my experience doing this, with working with VA home loans, is that there's kind of a give and take. A home can be outdated. So, yes, it has to, you can say it's operational, right? From a regular VA home loan perspective. There's other loan products like VA renovation loans that allow you to be able to do some work to the property. Now, a lot of those programs are limited to the scope of what you can do. But there's
Mhm.
also other programs out there like a home style renovation loan, which is a conventional loan that gives you a lot more flexibility. So, what we see people do is get a home style loan first because it's a lot more flexible, and then they'll refinance back into a VA loan. Pros and cons to all of that. That'd be something that we probably have to have like a whole special video on renovation loans so you guys can get the idea. But I know, Loris, do you get this question a lot? How do you address it?
Yeah, so when we're walking through the properties initially, we actually see what are some of the repairs that need to be done in the near future, what things need to be done immediately, next year, 5, 10 years. So it's all encompassing when they walk through. I get this question all the time, like, hey, the kitchen is outdated. It's a we had a property that we actually put in a contract and sold, and we didn't have any issues outside of peeling paint coming back from the appraiser, the VA appraiser. So that was like great. It had running water, thankfully. It didn't have any issues with the roof, with the windows. It was habitable. So as long as a property is habitable, even though if it needs like carpet redone, everything like that, as long as it's safe, sound, and secure, then it would pass the VA loan. Now, David, if you can mention a little bit about fixing repairs that come up with the appraisal after you close on a property. So there are We've had situations where the appraiser comes out and dings all kinds of things on the appraisal, and it's a as is property, and the clients actually fixed it after they closed on the property, and that can be another option if you do have the funds to do that.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit
Yeah.
about
So depending on the lender that you work with, and depending on what the repair is, they'll let you be able to do an escrow holdback for an item, right? And not only that, the VA also, you can also request waivers from the VA. So just because the appraiser requires it, you can say, well, you know what? I don't feel like this is a safety hazard. I want to omit this from the requirements, and the VA can omit that. And then the other thing is too is you can actually omit entire structures. So let's say you have a dilapidated garage that has
Mhm.
zero value to the property, but it's there. The appraiser is going to note that this needs to be repaired, but you can ask them to omit that from the appraisal and not count it as value. So then you'd be able to actually complete and purchase the property and not fix that item. What we're talking about, this is like, let's say you got some peeling paint, it's wintertime, and it's like there's no way we could even do any of this, right? Or whenever you say, everyone's area is a little bit different. So you can actually get an estimate for the work that needs to get completed. A lender typically is going to do a 1.5 time escrow holdback. So if it costs $1,000 to do the job based on getting multiple quotes, then the lender's going to hold back 1.5 times that. So $1,500, for example, right? And again, every lender is going to do things a little bit different. And some of them are going to have a cap on how much they'll allow for work to be done. But it is definitely a nice alternative to be able to turn around and become a homeowner, because a lot of veterans
Mhm.
feel like if they don't buy a home that's in perfect condition, they can't buy anything. And I think it's unfair to a lot of veterans just because they kind of get pushed to the wayside. So, but yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So let's dive into tools that you need. We have some of the tools with us. Obviously, if we were at like a studio or something like that, we would have a lot more, or like a Ace Hardware or something like that. They got a ton of tools. So Lourdes, you kick it off.
Me?
So yeah, so we can kick it off with a couple of things. We could talk about, my favorite is power tools. You want to start there?
Sure. So I got some of
All
my
right.
well, I only have one, maybe two in front of me. But yeah, so one of my favorite power tools that I have is my drill. So it does work. I do know how to use it, in,
Thank you,
out.
Lourdes, for
Um,
letting people know that.
yeah, because some people are like, you don't, but this comes, on and off. Now, one thing that I didn't realize, it came with all these like drill bits, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Um, wait, no, these are what are these called? I don't know if you can see it with the light.
Listen, you're talking to the wrong person.
Okay. Well, these are, I'm not really sure what they are. Now, this is when I need to make a hole inside of the wall. And then I use my drill to put that in. And then I just put the nail in. Now, I'm not an expert, I'm not a pro, but I do a lot of decorating. I hang a ton of things. So I definitely need a drill. I did hang probably about, let me see, 16, not 16, 12 TVs in my building. So that was fun, and one of them I needed to actually have this wrench, so I had to, or no, socket. This is a socket.
So this is the what she was talking about right here, right? So just the
Yeah,
drill bits
the drill
that they
bits.
have. Now
Yeah.
some of the tools come with like a whole set that you can buy.
Hmm.
So you basically have like the whole piece.
Yeah. Yep. So I use that. That's one of my favorites. So you do need the drill bits, and you do need the yeah, you need
Cordless
that whole
power
set of.
drill.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that I have for my power drill. Another thing that I recently purchased was a mini chainsaw. I needed to take down a tree. My neighbor's tree was like growing, like, I don't know, it was just like a little tree, and it became a big one. So I had to purchase a little mini chainsaw, and I went out there and started cutting down all the weed trees, and that was kind of cool. And I've used it. I was just showing David
Oh yeah, a
that
little bit earlier.
yeah, a little bit earlier, but this is my little mini saw that I have. And as you see, like, all the it's still like really dirty. I gotta clean it. But but yeah, so I actually use this and I go out there and cut down the little baby trees that are just such a nuisance and stuff
Yeah.
that I really can't get. So that's one of the things that I have too. And then I have a lawnmower. Um,
Well,
a
hold on,
lawn.
Laura.
Oh,
Before we go
sorry.
into that,
Go ahead.
let's step back a little bit and talk about those drill bits, okay? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of different brands that are out there, and I
Hmm.
think for a lot of people, it depends on how much money you want to spend and how much of a complete kit you want, right? Because when it comes to power tools, there's all types of, you could buy big sets. Like I was looking at a set just now that was like $700 or $800, but it comes from like a higher brand, right? Sometimes you just need the basic tools around the house so you don't have to spend the $800. So just make sure that whatever you're buying is making sense for you. Um, and another piece with that I wanted to mention, Lourdes, I know we talked about right before we started, is where you can actually buy some of this stuff, right? You have the big name brand stores that everybody knows about, but you also are able to buy things on marketplaces where you can buy them secondhand. And a lot of this stuff isn't rocket science to fix, right? It's small engines. I did some. I got and I inherited a snowblower, and I'm like, I need to figure out how this thing works. Otherwise, I'm spending $1,000 to buy one, right? And so I was able to figure out how to use it, get it started. Same thing. There was a chainsaw that they left behind, not in the best condition, but I was able to clean it up, get rid of the gas smell because they must have spilled gas all over it. Replace the spark plug and get that puppy up and running. Right. So that right there was $450 in savings. So there's definitely some big price ranges, and also like for power tools, obviously they're powered by batteries. Now those battery packs can be used for other things, right? Laura, so you're talking about a lawnmower. I have a gas powered lawnmower. A lot of people also have electric gas powered motors. So some of those batteries that you buy for your tools, you can actually put into like a weed whacker or whatever the case may be, right? I just don't want the stuff to die because I got a decent sized yard, so I need to roll. But even just having like when you buy bigger land for like a lawnmower perspective, you're also looking at maybe getting a sit down lawnmower or a
Hmm.
zero turn lawnmower. Those things are expensive,
Yeah.
right? So but yeah, um, did you get a weed whacker?
Yeah, so my weed whacker, I got this on Amazon. It's really cool. It's a weed whacker, and then it has like a little mechanism that you can push it like a lawnmower, but it
Okay.
is cordless and it has that adapter. So I can take it off and use it as a weed whacker, and then I can put it on and use it as a lawnmower. It's really cool. So that's one of my favorite, and it is battery operated. So I can knock out my little piece. I don't have a lot of grass, so I'm able to use that to do my entire little front lawn. So I think that that's pretty cool. And then I also have the snow. I have like this snow blower, but it's electric one. And
Right.
I have a gas powered one too when it's, I really need to do like the driveway, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, well, yeah, shoveling snow is not exactly the fun if you're in that area. If you're in the warmer side of the states, congratulations. But also it gets super hot, so you have different type of problems that come about. So that's good. So on the subject of power tools, we'll also talk about getting you make sure you got to make sure you guys have a shop vac to be able to clean up a lot of the messes. I mean, I just recently out of nowhere I had to buy my front window slid and broke glass everywhere across the front concrete. So using the shop vac was extremely helpful
Mhm.
with that. And then also you're actually able to connect those shop vacs to a lot of different things like sanding machines, to like to a circular saw. So just kind of helps with the cleanup just because it can
Yeah.
be pretty messy doing all this stuff. Um oh, here we go. We got a good time. Hey y'all, I love this. No idea what tools I need. Oh yeah, you're gonna need a lot of stuff. I guess we got someone here. How can I tell if I have a gas lawnmower? Yeah, so you're definitely gonna the difference is gonna be on the gas lawnmower. You're gonna have to you'll have a cap on top for the gas. Otherwise, you're gonna be recharging it. And then the other thing is, I know there's also lawnmowers that are corded, which
Mhm.
I am not really sure about, but I know I like gas. I'm a kind of gas guy just because it's again much easier to work with. But again, the same thing with like leaf blowers, same thing, right? You can get handheld ones, you can get leaf blowers, and you can get leaf suckers. And I didn't even realize that when I bought mine because I have a leaf blower. And I'm like, I didn't realize I could just flip a switch and then it'll actually suck up all the stuff that's on the
Oh,
ground, making
wow.
life a lot easier. And they'll actually put it right into the bags for you. So, like, those are small things. Again, depending on where you live in the country, it's going to change based on that. Um, we had on the list sanders, but I don't even know how to use a sander, nor would I want to even mess with that. Lourdes, you got experience with sanders?
Oh boy. Yeah, I did once. I
Yeah.
had one. My dad, I inherited a sander. I don't have it no more, but yeah, it's really messy. So you definitely have to wear some protection. Like, I would do a face guard because Sam was getting all over my face. So I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna use it. So definitely YouTube all these tools before you start to use them and see like how to use it. And that will save you a lot of time and,
And
if it's
money,
healthy.
because yeah, some things you're not going to be able to, be able to easily fix if you mess them up. I think that's probably the biggest challenge with all this stuff, especially I've learned as well, is that like, oh man, like once you mess that up, it's kind of it's game over. It's like, well, now I need to replace the whole piece. One
Yeah.
tool that I will share with you guys is something that I have. Now, this you're like, what is this tool? So it's an AccuMaster digital fraction caliper, right? The reason why this thing I purchased it and it's kind of been a game saver for me is because I bought someone else's home. I didn't build it myself, which is a lot of us. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you buy someone else's house, they don't just say, here's the measurements on every single nut and bolt that's in the house. This tool allows you to measure both the inside of a screw and the outside. Okay. Why it's relevant is because you're able then to measure whatever you need screws for. So when you go to Home Depot or wherever you go, you're not asking, like, I need 36 different types of screws. You could basically go in and say, I know the measurement of my bit that I need. And as well as you can match this up against the drill bit if you need to drill this into a wall or you need to pre-drill something. So again, one of these tools is a game changer to be able to use, and it just saves a lot of time and frustration uh, going back and forth to the store. That's what would happen to me. So I was not a happy camper for the amount of times that I
I'm
had to do it.
definitely gonna get that tool. One of my really favorite ones is that it's just a basic hand tool, this little screwdriver. It,
Oh
it
yeah.
actually turns it's one of my favorite. I use this literally for everything, and you can take it off, and if you need, like, different
Yep.
bits, this is the bigger one, and then it has, like, a ton of, bits even back here in the back where it's like it's just such like this little one I use this all the time. Not every time I need my drill, but I literally use this for everything. And when I do need my actual drill, then that's when I use it. But for like everyday kind of stuff, this is like a lifesaver. Another, like, one that I do a lot of hanging and decorating and, stuff like that, and this little tool here, it's a level, it's a laser, so you can have the laser, and then it's measuring tape and a ruler all in one, so when like, hanging up, if you ever look at my stuff, like, that's
It's
hanging on the wall,
crooked.
everything is symmetrical, like, perfectly, like, aligned, like, everything has to be, like, completely straight. So I have this one, if this is too heavy, I do have some, like, levels that are this big, a lot smaller, allowing me just to get that perfect thing, but these 2 here are probably what I use a lot in my
And
day-to-day for, like, the usage I use.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you don't need to have a crazy amount of tools.
Mm-mm.
Um, but like here's one of the comments. Biggest money saving tool is upkeep, I'd say, is YouTube, right? Because you can search, there's a lot of DIYers out there that you can actually look around. So I like the comment after spending a little money, I mean a lot, which I get on tools and big savings are in DIY. I'm a contractor, YouTube can do what I do and some, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's a good point because I think I was thinking about doing this, but I think it might be logistically hard. But to show a video where you can compare hiring somebody versus doing the work yourself, but you buy all the tools you need for that job. I'm pretty sure that a lot of times you're going to, even if you net even, now you have all the tools to be able to do more projects moving forward. But I also understand that not everybody's handy. Okay. I'll be the first one to admit that I can't, like, I looked at making cabinets and I'm like, oh man, this doesn't look too bad. Man, it was not good. There was just a lot of stuff that went behind them. Like, it's not even worth it. So yeah, but like Laura's mentioned, those couple of tools she has is pretty money. And then I have one of these smaller bit size. Can you, because this thing goes, yeah. So it's like for all the small stuff that you need, right? Not like the bigger stuff, but like the small electronics that you have, or you need to fix something. That these small ones are money, especially if you have kids. Those kids' toys all have small screws, so it also helps you with that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. I do have like a big ruler as well. So I do have
Yep.
big rulers. Those are helpful. Step ladders, ladders. Those are very helpful as well.
And they have
And
ones that you can like that actually um are like 2 feet tall and they can expand up to 18 feet. I seen a inspector with
mhm,
one. So again, you don't need to have these crazy 20-foot ladders that expand to 40 feet. You just need something that you can either go on your roof or be able to fix something inside the house. Also have like a
yeah,
step up ladder.
yeah. I think I can only do about 3, 4 steps, and that's it for me. If it requires something more than that, then I got to call someone. Because
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
won't do that.
also a lot more stuff, and it depends on the size of your garage, right? Organization is critical for that. So
Mhm.
just make sure you keep an eye on how much stuff you're buying. Is it all going to fit in the garage, or do you have to buy a shed to be able to put your tools into? Right,
Yeah,
because that's like something I have to look at now. Where I'm like, unless we build the when we do the renovation, we build the garage much bigger, or do we have to put a shed on the property?
right.
Maybe someone mentioned in a comparison, any tool cost turns into an asset. Yeah, that's right. So your money is still yours, and saving on outgoing cash helps helps you keep your money. Yeah, I mean that's a fact, right? It's just a lot. Again, the cost of labor these days is extremely expensive. I watch a lot of DIYers. Like, for example, I had somebody quote me 8 grand for a sprinkler system for the house.
Wow.
8 grand. All the YouTube videos I watch, people can do it under $600. They just have to do it themselves. So you pay a significant amount in labor to be able to hire people. But again, it's not for everybody. But at least you should have some of the basic stuff so you could do some of the stuff yourself. Which, let's talk about an important subject: plumbing.
Oh boy.
Plumbing is a dirty business. I'm not saying if you're a plumber, you're a dirty business. I'm saying plumbing itself is a dirty business.
Calling a plumber. I'm
So
not messing with it. No.
it is, but like toilets clogging, sinks clogging, there could be a lot of problems with it. Like when I found out the other day or the other week, I need a new sewer line.
Ouch. So let's hit on that really quickly. It's
Yeah.
very important when you're getting the home inspection is if you see any type of slow drainage at all, in the basement, particularly if it has a basement or period point blank, if it's a slow drain, I would get the line rotted. If you see a lot of trees next to the property, I would get the line rotted. I if you have an inkling that like, hey, maybe I should get the line rotted, I would because in some areas a new switch line can cost you 7,000 plus,
Oh yeah.
and it can be just for a small portion or it has to be the entire thing. So normally it's just usually it has like a little crack, but if you're gonna change it out, might as well change out the whole thing and then making sure that it goes all the way through because man, that is one of the biggest things. And I know as a landlord, I do have a lot of tenants. So it just depends too. Like you're obviously going to take better care of your home. But if you are a landlord and you have some tenants, these tenants don't care. They throw baby wipes down there. They throw all kinds of stuff down that toilet. I'm not going to even name everything, but you have to. One of the things that I have is it is called. I pull that up, but it's a power. It is a drain, an automatic plumbing snake. So
Oh yeah,
it's
you want me to pull that up?
yeah, but it's an automated plumbing snake. That's what I found. So the one that you had is like the one that you do manually, but the one that I have, it snakes up to 25 feet long. So it looks like this. It has that little tip. So anything on that tip can that's clogging it will usually get stuck in that. This is a manual one where you have to manually like roll it in. The one that I have, you just push a button and it goes in by itself and it comes out by itself too. And that one's really cool. Now the plumbers have that one that you're pointing to, that really big one. But
Yeah,
unless you're doing a ton of plumbing jobs, yeah, something like that. I have something just like that.
this one, yeah, I see. I had guys come to my place. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that those are for really bad ones, like tree roots and stuff like that. But and, so we have a we have a comment there, but I'll address that in a second. But, yeah, so that's one of the things that it saved me a lot of money because calling a plumber out every single time has cost me close to about $400, and that machine was no more than like 200 and or it was $100 actually. So it saves me so much money and I can clear my own lines. And even I had my tenant came and there was a lot of hair, like, and I shed so much hair and it went into a drain and they're like, "Hey, it's slow clogged." So we snaked it and then we came out and it was just so much hair, a glob of
Yep,
hair. So I snaked every single line in the house and it was so much in there. But we cleared it and we didn't have to worry about that. Now I have stuff protecting all the drains so that, if hair gets caught, you can just easily take it out. And then I just snake it every turnover. So yeah.
that's awesome. So in a comment here, every homeowner was probably once a renter. This is true. But with time, especially once it's yours, it's a little bit different, right? You treat it, I would say, better knowing that I used to rent places as well, right? If there was an issue, you just pick up the phone. Hey, landlord, this is wrong. We need it fixed, right? But here it's like your blood tier, your money is at work, right? Like
Mhm.
Lourdes mentioned, like I had to call the plumber a couple of times and I was fortunate to pay a lot more than that just because the issues were like I found out, like having the um sewage line complete, it was full of what's it called, roots in there, right? But that
Mhm.
shouldn't discourage you from buying a place if you're getting a good deal on a property. If the transaction makes sense and you are aware of the cost but you don't care, or it's being factored into the value, that shouldn't be holding you back, right? It's hard to find a house that you like, number one. um but some homes are just shoddy construction, right? It's just, you go into a home inspection, it looks beautiful on the outside, inside looks great. Home inspector comes in, they're like, they've cut every corner they can imagine,
Yeah.
right? But some people are already in that position because they've already owned the home. These tools help you with that, to at least do some of this work on your own. Obviously, you need to have a plunger, right? That's your
Yeah.
level one or
Level
your
1.
line level defense, right? You're like sitting there plumbing. So, and then like the drain extract or drain snake is huge because, like, yeah, I called someone before for like the sink being drained. This is a long time ago. $150, and all they took out was this $4 rod. They just put in, twisted around, took it out, and it was normal. So yeah, invest in those things.
There's this stuff that I have no idea where I got it from, but it smells kinda like fish food, I don't know, I had fish when I was, very young, but it, um, it eats away, like, all the hair and, like, stuff like that, but I'm not sure if it's too good for your plumbing, if it can
It's
do
not
that.
good for your plumbing. It
Okay.
eats your plumbing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I talked to my plumber, Juan. He's amazing. He was like, "Hey, I got Drano." He's like, "Yeah, do not use it. It just eats away at the pipes." And you have to also remember what type of piping you have. That's another, I think, big important piece, because you have PVC piping or steel piping or cast iron, however they had it. I know all my stuff needs to be completely replaced on top of it. So,
Mhm.
and make sure you test your drinking water as well, because you want to make sure that if you're drinking that water, it's safe. What else you got, Lourdes?
Alright, we got
Oh,
some
you're having
questions.
that
Mhm.
plumbing, speaking of plumbing, having that white tape so your pipes don't leak if you're changing out shower heads. Because sometimes when you come into buying a property, you're going to start switching out a lot of things, right? Or you just want
Mhm.
to replace it because now it's yours. So make sure you have that caulking as well. There's different type, clear or white. There's different type of caulking that you can purchase just to help you with some seals. Or you might, before you move into a place, you might want the contractor to just kind of run through it, or you run through it yourself
Yeah.
and be able to just kind of touch up the place so you're just not running into any type of issues a little bit later, right? Which, speaking of moving into, oh, Teflon tape for pipe threading. See, look, we got some contractors on here. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we should have had you guys join our call.
I know. I'm like, I don't know what this is called, but I use it all the time.
Yeah. Somebody else was saying, Janet, water softener. Thank you. I just actually talked to her just before we jumped on this phone call, which is great, right? And then, yeah, this is Mike letting us know Teflon tape for pipe threading is, I'm not a plumber. He's disclaimer, not a plumber, but he knows some basic things. So good. Thank you. Somebody asked this in the comment section here. Pretty good question. Hey guys, can you talk a little bit how rental income is calculated for VA loans if a buyer already has rentals? Isn't there a 2-year requirement? So Joey, that's a great question. The answer to that is that if you have 6 months of reserves, meaning the principal, interest, tax, and insurance in a reserve account like a 401k, money market, savings account, not cash on hand under the mattress, but in some type of verifiable account for the last 2 months, then you can offset proposed rental income on a new purchase with a property management agreement and not require the 2 years of W2 or like taxable experience being a home landlord. Okay. So, example, if you have $5,000 mortgage payment a month and you have 25, 30,000. Oh my God. How can I be so slow? Yeah. $30,000 in reserves, then you can actually use proposed rental income to qualify. You just need to gonna have a property management agreement in place, which is typically a couple $100s. So good question. Somebody had another separate question. Hey, my real question: does renting the property you want to buy help in getting a mortgage? Like, I'm probably paying close to the same amount in rent, and my landlord is interested in selling. Done. That's a good question, but it's based, your qualification base is going to be based on what you individually can qualify for. So if you, let's say, have to do what's called a manual underwrite, then having the last 12 months or 24 months of rental history and the landlord, the landlord, it makes it a lot easier to get that. But there's no direct benefit from buying the place that you currently live in, because we've helped a lot of people actually over the last year do that. Yep.
Well, actually, there's no competition, so it does help
Well, yeah.
out, in that case is there's no competition where right now in certain areas there are multiple offers. There's very not that much inventory out there, so it can help in a perspective where they will give it to you for a good amount versus, listing it and having people come by. So that can be one of the advantages is if you do qualify for that amount that they want to sell it for, then you can just easily just take that over.
Yeah. But I'm saying there's no direct like mortgage related benefit for doing that. But yeah, definitely, like Loris
Mhm.
mentioned, you cut all the competition out. You already know the property too. So if you get a home inspection, there should be no surprises either, right? Like, what's happening with the property. And also, actually, on a side note, from a real estate side, what we've noticed is that people that buy properties from the landlords, if there's issues per the VA requirements on the appraisal, they're more likely than not to fix it. On everyone that I've helped, this is just me personally, they've made the repairs. No matter how extensive or small or big they were, they already knew it, right? Because
Mhm.
they've been with this person for a long time. So, DJ,
Yeah.
great question on that. Next thing we're going to talk about electrical tools. Now, my disclaimer is I do not touch anything electrical because I will be electrocuted, and it happened once to me and never
Oh,
again. Right? I got somebody on speed dial to call. Lourdes, how do you feel about doing electrical work on your own?
Electrical is not like the most I'll do is I'll stick a tester in to check to see if there's like reverse polarity but
Yeah,
outlets,
like
but that's
power or
the
something like
most.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is probably like the most that I will do in regards to electrical. And like how David said, like, we're not professionals, we're not contractors or anything like that. We're homeowners and we want to give you some tips because we understand and we've probably searched YouTube for hours like learning how to do these things. But electrical is probably the only one that I won't even touch. I will call immediately for that.
Yeah. Well, we moved in and we were under amped on the service.
Mm.
So luckily, we know a guy that was able to come in and upgrade our to 200 amp. So which also serves you can have electric vehicle down the line, things like that, right? So that's just not something you have to consider as well. Depending on what amperage you're on for your building, you might have to upgrade it, especially if you're trying to do more stuff or if you're trying to set up a tool shop in your garage. A lot of times they do require more power, so just be mindful of that piece. But yeah, I mean, outside of plugging in an extension cord in the outlet, I definitely stay away from electrical. It is hazardous, and then you definitely should have a professional in your pocket to be able to help you through that journey. Now, one of the things that people do often do when they purchase a home is paint the house. Now, painting can be expensive to be able to hire someone to paint. Yes, it's time consuming. Yes, you're probably going to screw it up in your first attempt. But the beauty of this is that it's not very expensive to buy the tools, I would say. The mistakes are going to frustrate you, but that's going to be okay. You're going to be fine, right? Maybe you have to call in some friends, grab them some beer and pizza, and they'll be able to help you through this process. But the typical stuff you're going to need, right? It's going to be your paintbrushes, rollers,
Mhm.
painter's tape is a huge one.
Yep.
And some plastic that goes around this, especially if you're taping around windows or you want to get fancy on your design. But you also have to lay down plastic on the floor so you're not getting your nice hardwood floors dirty, right? My dad reminds me all the time when I was a teenager helping paint the house with my grandpa, we screwed up the entire house. My dad had to go and repaint it. But since then, I've recovered and I can somewhat paint. But Lourdes, what's your experience with painting?
Yeah, I can do little sections. But one thing that I that I like better than painting is a decorative tile. So I'll throw up a decorative tile all day long versus painting. And like how you said, like the painter's tape, if so me and my nephew, so I have an Airbnb and there's a ton of like scuff marks and it was flat base paint. So there's different type of paints. So I was like, I want to oil paint. And that way, if somebody scrapes it with their luggage, I can just grab a towel and I can wipe it off. So it
That's smart.
depends on high traffic areas, like what you're using. If you're going to use a flat, looks amazing, but all my Airbnbs have they're like almost gloss, like the not all the way glossy because it's gonna look weird if it's like shiny, but it is like the a gloss so I can go in there and I can wipe the walls. And I can't tell you how much that saved me in painting fees. So I don't have to, I just go in there and wipe it down versus like doing that whole thing. And decorative tile is my favorite because I can easily I peel off the back, it's sticky foam, and I throw it on and it makes the biggest difference in the world. They have really nice things. I get it really cheap on Amazon and I could do a super nice decorative wall and it looks amazing because my painting skills are not the best. I could do it, but they're not the best.
I mean, that's okay. Everyone has pros and cons, but adding a nice fresh paint, both if you're thinking about selling,
Oh,
right, or
yes.
when you buy a place, it just transforms the place, right? Fresh coat of paint. Now, I don't know how many every so often you have to paint the entire house, but again, gonna get practice on it and you're able to kind of get into it. Somebody mentioned for a little bit earlier, electrical is one of those tasks that I find, yeah, there's, for some people, you know, I I will be fried and electrocuted if I try electrical. But yeah, Twisted, if you can do it, always do it. And Mike also responded to us a working party. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's again tons of savings in doing jobs, doing some of these jobs yourself, especially too with like landscaping. So, let's go into landscaping because I also recently got quotes on doing things, so I know the power of that. Um, Professional landscaping is expensive, especially if you have big trees. Like I had huge 11 trees that were gigantic. Like we had to bring cranes in to cut these trees down.
Wow.
So that I was happy to pay for. But some of the smaller stuff, I want to do it myself, right? And that's what I've been investing in. So I know, Lourdes, you mentioned a little bit earlier lawn mowers. Those range anywhere from $200 up to like $30,000 for professional ones. For
Oh,
regular homeowners with a regular smaller yard, especially if you live in the city, that electric thing you mentioned, I think is money because you don't need to go far. If you have an acre to cut with electric, that's tough,
that's tough,
right?
man.
Uh, yeah, you're really not gonna have anything electric. You're gonna have everything gas, but you have a smaller place, then it makes sense to have gas because then you can kind of have all your tools kind of put together. Obviously, you need rakes and shovels. Having a weed whacker is nice, right? But some because you're always gonna have to touch up the yard. That's and then again, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that you could look up. Like that's what I did because I was like, what am I doing? But I also inherited one, which was nice. That was like a save $225 because I looked it up. So I'm like, that was a nice thing.
Yeah.
I just need to clean it up and just do a couple small maintenance things to it, right? So again, that's something that you can budget for. And then what would you say? So you have to replace also the garden hoses and nozzles, right? You're gonna kind of put what you want on there, right? So that's like your basic level stuff, right? You sometimes have to reseed the grass. Loris, you have like a patch this big of
I
grass.
know. So yeah, let's talk about that. So yeah, I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I have literally maybe one is like maybe by maybe 4 feet by probably 8, and I have an 8 feet. Like it's tiny, and then I have another patch almost a little bit bigger than that, maybe 4 by 10. And they were gonna charge me $50 to cut my grass. Can you $50? I'm like, oh Lord, like, are you kidding me? Like 50. So I was like, you know what? That's why I got my little electric one. And then I have another one. I don't know if you've seen the push ones because okay, so my little electric one won't even cut my 2 pieces of grass on one battery, and I
Right.
have 2 batteries. So these batteries don't really last too long. And then sometimes I don't charge them. So I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't charge
Gotcha.
it. What do I do?" Like, and I need my grass cut. So I got the little push one with the wheel, the little wheel push
Oh
one.
yeah.
They're super inexpensive. They don't require gas, no maintenance, no nothing. So if I forget to charge my batteries and my grass needs to be cut like today, because it takes a long time for these batteries to charge. They don't, it's
I
like
know.
3 4 hours for these electric ones. So it's cool if you remember how to charge them. If you don't, then I have that push one that I can just use, and then I have my weed whacker too. So those they can do like just the weed whacker on the side, and then I can go do the push, and it's perfect. Like, it's not bad. I have a rake and I just rake everything up and I'm done. It doesn't take me too long to do it.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's a good reminder because I know people that have those, and I used to have one myself, like the
Mhm.
push manual ones.
Manual, yeah.
Yeah, for a small yard, that is phenomenal to be able to do
Yeah.
that.
I've been using
Um,
that lately.
yeah.
And my neighbor was like, "Lourdes, your lawn is not looking the best." I'm like, "Leave me alone." But
And by the way, in some areas that you live in, they can cite you or give you a
oh, yeah.
ticket for not cutting your grass. So that is
Yeah.
something that you're going to learn as a homeowner. There's sometimes city rules that they have. Even when you want to make changes to your house, like I'm doing, they want an architectural review to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing, right? Like so there's in different areas it's different. So you gotta make sure you know that. Which leads me to some safety equipment that you guys definitely should have, like safety glasses, working gloves is a huge one. Just because even when you're working inside or outside, um, things like your hands, unless you're working with hands every day, your hands are gonna hurt. You can cut your hands, especially if you're working with stuff outside.
Yeah.
dusk. The what do you say?
Yeah, no, I've cut myself many, many times pulling weeds. I'm like, "I don't need no
Yep.
gloves." But and now it's a must. I have gardening gloves, so,
Yep.
those are really nice.
Yeah. And two, just like even when you're working stuff around the house, pulling stuff out, you got to pull drywall out. Like you don't want to be using your hands for that. You don't know what's behind that wall.
Yeah.
I think it's safer just to have some protection because if you cut yourself, you can, who knows what can happen with that. It's like when you use a chainsaw, they have those special pants that in the event the chainsaw hits you, it'll basically shut itself off, right? But you're protected. Yeah, I would say that's like the number one thing. But again, this is why we talked about electrical. Like we don't, I don't touch it. I call somebody else,
Mhm.
and then they walk me through it, and then it's interesting. But that's okay. Having dust masks is important.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I recently had my bathroom leak to the bottom bathroom, and I had to remove everything. And this house is old, so I was assuming there's asbestos, all this other stuff that's in there.
Mhm.
Having a like a real mask, not the ones that like you just strap on. I'm talking like the ones that like we're in an NBC situation, right? We're going nuclear, baby. Like you need to have the one that is going to protect you 100% on that because it is dangerous to inhale that stuff. Um, be able to do that. Oh, someone mentioned good pressure washer is handy around the house. Great. Yeah, again, guys, drop some comments down below. But yeah, no,
Mhm.
that's definitely a great suggestion because it helps clean like the sidewalk. Mine needs it, so I was just recently inquired about getting a pressure washer just because it's more things to get. And another one for gardening around the house is ear protection. I made the mistake Saturday and I left one of my ears not on all the way. And when I finished with the leaf blower, I was like, I could barely hear. So obviously, also as veterans, we have tinnitus or other things. You don't want to make it worse with your hearing. Have hearing protection and make sure it's put on correctly. It's also with the eye protection because I was gone for a couple weeks and the grass got big and there was a lot of weed cutting. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that I was able to at least not hit my eyes with anything. So it was good. Yeah. So yeah, Jada mentioned snow blowers, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. If you're in an area that has it, that has a lot of snow, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need a snow blower. Maybe if you're young and you have a good back, then you don't need one. But if you have a bad back, trust me, snow shoveling is not fun. So, or it can be, and then afterwards you can't walk anymore.
And it's
So
cold, like, when you're doing that.
it's
It's
not
freezing.
it's not that bad. You get
Uh,
warm because you're actually working. It's free exercise on top of it. Ladders we talked about. Again, get telescopic ones or ones that can fold
mhm.
out. Fire extinguishers, another big one. I have
Ooh.
multiple fire extinguishers at my house. One, it's old, but two, you should have them regardless, just in the event something were to happen. You don't go crazy and like pour water on grease or something. And when an
And
emergency happens, you're not, sometimes you're not thinking. Having
they do
one,
expire, right, David?
they do expire, so you should be checking them.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't, I don't know. I won't buy cheap ones either. Like I buy like real ones, like ones that are not going to just be like a little can that's going to basically put out like a small fire. Like I'm ready. Like I have a family. Like if something happens, I have to be able to grab something that's decent size to be able to put a fire out, or at least enough for us to be able to get out of the house. And I keep one in the basement where I have all the utility room and one up in the kitchen, which is most likely the two areas that you would have a fire. Someone had a good comment, a fire blanket. That is great. You can grab those online. But yeah, just like electrical fire is a very real thing, especially in older
Mhm.
homes or even some of the new ones. Man, those homes burn up so fast. And
Yeah.
nowadays, depending on where you live, like when I'm looking at my remodel in a residential property, they make you put in a sprinkler system, which I found to be very odd, but that is a requirement depending on where you live. They put it above the drywall. I don't know what the point of it is. It must like soak it through. I'm still doing research because this is more money they're making me spend. I don't know if you guys heard that before online. Those, yeah, like sprinkler systems for residential properties.
Yeah.
So, and then duct tape will pretty much fix anything.
Oh my
Always have
goodness.
tape on hand. You never know how much you're gonna need tape. Like I always find myself, no matter what, military stuff, civilian stuff, home ownership stuff, tape is money.
And they have that clear tape, the clear gorilla tape or something like that.
Um,
Amazing.
yeah, make sure you get the right tape because some tape will use it on furniture or something like that, and you take it off. That's taking
Oh,
everything off,
everything off, yeah.
right?
Yep.
This is why painter's tape doesn't do that. It's a light paint that's on there. But I use it,
Mhm.
the light painter's tape, all the time for different projects, right? Not just for what it's meant for, just so I don't get that glue residue when I remove the tape either, right? Those are all
Mhm.
important things
Mhm.
to be able to do on that. What else, Doris? You got anything else
I think I do have my stud finder here. We didn't talk about the stud finders, but that's just another
that makes life
miscellaneous.
easy?
This little device here just makes your life so much easier when you're looking through, and it can find electrical things. I mean, it finds everything. And like I said, I do a lot of mounting, decorating, and stuff like that. So that's a must.
Yep.
And I want to say that is. I mean, there's a
It's a
lot of stuff
lot.
that you'll pick up on. And I have like my little handy bag that I have over here. This thing is like, full of all kinds of like, stuff. I have my blue tape, my painter's tape that you were talking about in here. And I have some, oh yeah, I have, oh, this needs to be closed. I don't know why it's open, but I have my box cutter, which is something
Oh
that I
yeah,
use.
that it comes in handy.
Yeah, got some more drill bits in here. This is for like wallpaper. I do a lot of like, I put a lot of wallpaper on. So with the glue, like I'll smooth it out. And this is one of my tools that I have. I just have some random things in here. Flashlight. This is a flashlight, and I can hang it up. I need this a lot. I use this quite often. This
Oh,
is
that's
another.
a good point. Yeah, the having a like just like even a camping light helps out significantly, especially if power goes out and you have to work on it. It's happened.
I got some pins in here, some thumbtacks. I know this is kind of funny, but sometimes I need to put a little thumbtack just to where I need to do my drill. But I have some thumbtacks in here. I have some screws in here, just some
That's
basic
creative.
things. Yeah, but I I do that because before I would just grab the drill and the drill bit, and I would do like a little hole. But this I could just put my little thumbtack where I need it, and it's super precise, and I can go in there and do my drill and install what I need to install. But those are just some of the things that we have around the house. And as I became a landlord, and I purchased this on my own, and I had to do a lot on my own. It was kind of crazy, but you can do it. It's not that bad. When in doubt, if you don't think it's safe, definitely hire a professional. I wouldn't do anything that like mounting a TV. I ended up paralyzed. David remembers that because I mounted a TV. It fell. I caught it. Yeah, he was laughing at me, but I was like, David, I can't, I couldn't move. Like it was real serious. Like I couldn't move
I
from my
know.
couldn't feel anything from my waist down. And it was pretty crazy. And it's because I did it myself. And then I had one of my friends come and help me mount two TVs, but I mounted in all four bedrooms, three bedrooms, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mounted 12 TVs.
12
I
TVs.
mounted 12 TVs, and what I used for that was my wrench for some of them, and then I just used my drill with my drill bits, and that's
Yep.
how I mounted every single TV. The one that fell, it was a curved TV, and it was like a 50, so it was really hard for me to do that one on my
Oh
own.
yeah.
And that's the one that paralyzed me. So it's very serious for you to, like, if you need the help, definitely get the help. We're not saying just do everything on your own, YouTube everything. If you need the help, get it, because I'm one that tried to do that, And that's after I mounted all these other ones. Normally they're small TVs, so no problem doing it. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
not fun.
No,
So
that's
yeah,
the thing.
that's
We'll
all
let's
I
have a couple of shout outs of big. So, Chris, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it. Janet mentioned Shop Vac. We talked about that early on.
got. Mhm.
Yes, it is a great tool because it does wet and dry. So you have a big spill in the house, you can clean it up. Um, and then yeah. So especially for the basement, when you guys are shopping for homes, if there's a basement, you probably want
Mhm.
to make sure that it has some kind of drainage system. My place did not. And guess what I have to do? Recrack the basement, pour, put the
Drain tile.
tile around the house, and recreate everything. So, again, juice has got to be worth the squeeze on these projects. Sometimes, a lot of times, you're going to need help. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined us today. If you guys have any comments, please drop them down in the drop them in the comments below. Let us know what we missed. And you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys pretty soon.